Welcome to the Not So Kind Regards podcast. I'm Maddie Birdcage.
And I'm Caroline Moss.
We are done with the digital fluff and pleasantries.
And we're here to talk straight about brand building, digital marketing, and personal growth.
The last financial year was the biggest in Birdcage's history, all thanks to our unique proven marketing formula, Birdcage Marketing School, and through the agency. To celebrate and to give you the feeling that we are now experiencing, we are taking a full $1,000 off when you enroll in the full library by June 30 and pay in full. Use code EOFY2024 at checkout. This episode is of course brought to you by Birdcage Marketing, the forward-thinking business growth and digital marketing brand that started this all. If you are a small, medium or large-size business, don't know how to get started or need to tighten up your digital marketing efforts, we are currently taking on new strategy and virtual marketing manager clients. Let us shape your strategy, give you the action steps you need to implement, and then hold your hand as you and or your team implement the exact process that will take you from where you are now to where you want to be. To get started, book your discovery call at birdcagemarketing.com.au and let's do this. Now, back to the episode.
Today we have Dallas Pay on the Not So Kind Regards podcast. She's the founder and owner of True Colors, a festival fashion wear brand based on the sunny coast. Dallas has amassed over 200K followers between Instagram and TikTok. And while working together through our mentorship program, she's scaled her business from 5K sales months to 95K sales months. I'm so thrilled to have you here today, Dallas. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, very happy to be here.
This is so exciting. We've got so much good stuff to talk about, and I'm so excited to get into it. I think we're going to talk about your sales growth, content creation process, your mindset journey. I know that's been a big thing that you've worked on with Maddie together. So let's start from the beginning. We love a good origin story. Can you take us back to the beginning, share what sparked the idea for True Colors and why you decided to launch this brand?
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like I'm very similar to a lot of people, and I started my business like around COVID because I had nothing else to do. I was like a competitive cheerleading coach for 10 years, and then I did like a brief stint in retail, and I was like, we were living here on the Sunshine Coast, and my partner got offered a job, a really high paying job in Victoria. So we sold everything, moved to Victoria, and this was straight kind of in COVID time. And then when we got to Victoria, we had signed this like lease for a year, and then they cancelled the job. And because both me and my partner had left our jobs willingly, we weren't eligible for like COVID payments or anything like that. So we were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So we were on like the job seeker payment. So I literally had pennies, and I would spend like the little bit of money that I had on obviously rent and all my bills. And then I get like a little bit of fabric and I would sew an outfit and I would make TikToks in the outfit. Because I was like, what else am I going to do? We had like a 6-month lockdown. So yeah, for those like 6 months, I posted like little TikTok videos, and they never got more than like 200 views, but it was definitely something to do for me. And then I was selling the pieces on Depop, and I use this term like selling very loosely. I think I sold like 2 or 3 things in that whole like 6 months. And then at the end of the 6 months, I decided to build a Shopify website. And then I also managed to get a retail job. And on the same day that I got my retail job, my first TikTok ever went viral, and it got like 140,000 views. And I made 7 sales on my website, which just like, obviously at that time just blew my mind. And I think from there I was kind of like hooked.
Oh my gosh. And I think that's such a good point to point out that like you had the website first before you went viral so that you could make the sales rather than scrambling to try to monetize it.
It was like days before that video went viral that I did that. It was just like, and it was so funny because I got that like retail job. And then on that day, like I came home from the job, posted a video. And then of course I'd been posting videos for months, and I just put my phone down, like cook some dinner. And then all of a sudden it's like, ching, ching, ching. I was like, what is happening? I remember like freaking out, just messaging everyone. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So after, obviously I had just gotten the retail job, but I was kind of hooked. So I was like, every day I would be coming home, I would be making TikToks. And I think I ended up quitting that retail job. One day I got like a $400 sale, and I was like, I'm going to quit my job. And I was kind of used to having very little money, and I was like, I reckon I can like make this work. I can do it. So, and I just did not want to be at that retail job once I like once you have like a little obsession, you're over it. You're like, I feel like every time I was at the retail job, I was like, this is sucking my soul out. Like, I need to be doing True Colors. I need to be at home. So.
And even that feeling of like, I don't want to spend my time here. I want to spend my time on this. Like I have so many ideas I want to execute, and this is taking me away from
and it's so funny because like the retail job I had before I went down there, I loved it. I loved being there because I had nothing else that was like pulling me away. But I was like, every minute I was like, and then I would come home and I just like chuck my stuff like straight into my sewing room, or I'd literally throw on one of the outfits and I'd be like making videos straight away. And I was still like, I had one viral video, but then it was kind of like, that's not the be all and end all. It just kind of drops back down. But I'd had a little taste.
The seed was planted.
Like, yeah. So then from there, I like never started working again. It was literally super quick. And yeah, like I was just very lucky that I would just like somehow make it work. But I had never had savings or money. So I didn't really, I was just like, I'll just make it work.
Yeah. Well, I think it's that whole, like you believed in yourself. So you made it work.
Yeah.
Rather than having that safety net, which sometimes we feel like is the right thing to do, but it's like taking us away from going all in on what we want.
Yeah. And I feel like it was like at the time I was like, I can't believe that everything's stacked against us. Like we came down here, we thought we were going to be doing this. But the reality is if I had stayed here on the Sunshine Coast, I would have been so happy in my little retail job. I don't think I ever would have actually pushed it over and actually started my business. So something terrible that happened to us actually ended up probably being the best thing that ever happened to us. So
do you reflect on that often when you come up against setbacks in the business?
Yeah, I'm like, maybe this is another one of those times. Yeah.
For sure. I'm excited to talk more about mindset. Well, let's skip to mindset then. I know we're going to talk about that towards the end, but I think this is such a good place to start from. Like you had proof that, okay, something bad happens and something amazing happens, then it's not just smooth sailing from there. Can you tell us a bit about the setbacks you've had throughout business?
I think there has been quite a few, but I think I've changed quite a lot since I first started my business. So like when I first started, if something bad would happen, or it'd be like something small, like a mistake with the manufacturer, or just little things like that, I would be so frantic. Or like if I had like, for example, we were unpacking stock the other day, and my mindset now in comparison to what it used to be like, she was like, oh, I can't find all these skirts. And I was like, they'll be here. They're here somewhere. And she's like, no, I'm telling you, I've unpacked everything. And I'm like, they're here. And I ended up finding them, but I didn't kind of lose my head over it. And Maddie likes to say that there was like pre-SD card Dallas and there's post-SD card. So very, very recently, this is like the toughest thing that's ever happened to me. We spent like thousands and thousands of dollars, which I don't do. I'm like a one-man show on this festival weekend, and I got a new camera. It was like $6,000. And then we shot this whole weekend of like festival content. It was for the new collection drop as well. And then when we got back, I like went to plug the SD card in and it formatted and deleted everything from the weekend. And this was like so major. Like this is probably like the biggest thing I've done. It's the most money I've invested, and it's for a collection drop, which is like, obviously you need that content to like really push it and be like, okay, otherwise it's just me dancing around in an outfit, you know what I mean? So I was like, I really need these girls and this whole vibe. And I was like, it's the biggest test I've ever been through. Like it's the closest I've ever come to just being like, I can't get over this. I'm still a little bit like, I can't believe that happened. But at the end of the day, you have to these things do happen. And it's about how you like bounce back from that. And it took me about 3 days.
I was going to say, you still have to have your time to like have a party.
And I would like wake up in the morning and my eyes would open and I'd be like, the SD card, I still can't, it's like shock. It's it's
visceral.
Crazy. Yeah. And then I told Maddie, and Maddie, like everyone I told was like, I almost can't believe it's real. Like, I feel like you're joking. And I was like, no, I'm not joking. This has actually happened. And we found a way to like spin it and work it into part of my marketing story. And it's not just me like being like, oh, this is a little strategy. It's actually me sharing that story with my customers and them being on board with me and they're following along. And I was like, what should I do? Should I take it to a professional, try and get it back? And then people were literally messaging me, calling me, being like, did you get it back? And then I also worked it in, and I was like, I'm going to do a little sale because like life is short and you never know what's going to happen. And then the sale did really well as well. And yeah, it was just like, okay, let's make lemonade out of this terrible sour lemon that I've been
You feel
dealt.
like something good did that collection launch go well then?
Oh my God, yeah. That was like I'm trying to remember what it actually did. It did nearly 70 grand, which was like, and I did 210 orders, which is double my record for Black Friday, which is like, that was crazy. And it's all part of that, like that story somehow helped that along. Obviously I put a lot of work into the content to promote it as well. But yeah, I was just like, this is just part of it. And it nearly knocked me down. I was like, this is too hard.
I know. I can, like, the fact that you picked yourself up even just 3 days to have a little sad party and then come back and then have a huge launch, like double what your normal launch. So would you say that was like double what your normal launches are?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it was like my last launch would be nearly triple what I did on the last one.
Holy
So,
moly. So
yeah,
it's like, thank you, universe, but also can you just let me cruise for a little while?
yeah. And so like I was doing this meditation on the morning of the launch, and it was like, have you had any tests recently? And I was sitting at the beach and I laughed out loud. I was like, yes, I have actually.
You gave me your biggest one.
Yeah. I was like, no more for a little while. But I also find that like if you find like everything feels like it's against you, everything's going wrong, and you feel like everything's just so hard, it means you're pushing into the next phase. So like for that for me, I feel like I have become a completely different person when it comes to managing things in business from that experience. Like that stuff is going to happen because you run a business. Like it's not all going to be smooth sailing, and it's just about how you're going to deal with it. So
it's kind of like it shifted your mindset and it leveled you up for this next phase.
And now when like small things happen, I'm like, well, could be worse, you know. Could have lost the SD card.
Could have like, had a whole photo shoot go down.
I'm like, well, this is not catastrophic, is it? You know?
Yeah. It's not saving lives, but it's
and even that terrible thing happening, that was not catastrophic. There's always a way to
reframe it. Oh, well, I'm so glad to hear that, like, immediately after, like, you got your win immediately afterwards.
I was like,
you didn't have to, like, wait and twiddle your thumbs.
Come on. Yeah, but it wasn't even like I was hoping that it would do well. I was in the mindset of, like, I know this is going to do well. I've worked hard for this. Like, I've overcome so much for this.
You're already living in that, like, high self-worth state.
100%.
So let's jump into content creation, because you are a very prolific content creator. Like, I work with a lot of business owners every single day that have a really hard time prioritizing content creation. Like, it's really hard in your day-to-day operations. And you have quite big followings on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how you make that work? Like, and you don't just like chuck up the phone and like roll out of bed. Like, you do an hour or two's worth of hair and makeup for all your videos. Like, you do the full festival look. Can you tell us about that process a bit?
So it's basically just a lot of planning. Like, the more prepared you can be, the easier it is. And so for me, like you said, it takes so long to get ready, but I will make the most of every single thing that I do. So I'll do, like, when I'm prepping the braids or the hair, I do a video on how to do that. And that becomes like a how-to, and that's me, you know, educating or almost giving some information away for free. And then I'll do, like, get ready with me, a talking one, a non-talking one. I'll do the hair tutorial. So the whole time I'm doing stuff, like, I'm making some kind of content out of that. And when I'm like
documenting, and this is what I tell a lot of my clients, like, if you don't have time to create content, document every single thing.
Everything you do. Yeah. So it's just about planning, and in the weeks leading up to, so say I have a big collection shoot, because I do them kind of every 6 weeks. So I follow this like cycle. So I'll spend a few weeks, like, every sound that I hear that I think, oh, that could work, I'll write down the outfit. So say I'm dropping 4 outfits. I've got like the yellow outfit, and I've got hair tutorial, this. Then I'll write down the sound, so it's quick for me to find it when I'm making my videos. And then I know exactly what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So I've got this whole list, and I might have like, oh, you're going to do a transition to the outfit that you're filming the next day. So I know exactly what I have to film, and I film all of that, and then that's done, and that's that one outfit. And then I do the next outfit, same thing. I've got a list I've like, okay, if you're going to do a little jump transition, I've already done the one from the day before, and I know exactly what I have to film. So, and then I've got 4 weeks of content. Like I'm still posting content I filmed a month ago.
So it's
so
not
right now
filming every single day. It's
no, I haven't
filming.
filmed anything for about 2.5 weeks now, and I'm still posting every single day. And it gives me time to, if I had to film myself every day, no. So I just make sure I do my filming, and I'm like, okay, this is the most important thing. This is what's going to create sales for you. And everything kind of takes a backseat in that 2 weeks where I'm filming that content. But if you're like, you could just do, on Sundays, I film 7 videos. You've got that list, you go into your room, you've got your list, you've got your sounds, whatever, and you just do that, boom. And then you don't have to film again until Sunday. And it's such a relief. And then you're posting every day. People are like, oh my God, I love this. And they're buying from you. And you're not even having to sit down and film yourself every day. Because I could not do that.
Yeah.
But I can turn on the charm for, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talking about like that takes the priority over the other stuff. Like how can you get into the details a little bit of how you make that work? Because I know like most business owners, and probably you do too, like you have so many emails coming in through every day, like so many people trying to get your attention to make decisions. How do you make that work?
Yeah, well, I kind of just, like, I'll wake up early. I'm like, okay, what's a real priority right now? Email is going to make sure that is done. I have someone who ships my orders, thank God, because that's obviously a priority. And then I just go, this is like, I'll literally write on my calendar, like content, baby, content, because this is going to move the needle for the next 4 weeks. This is what's going to decide whether the drop does 20K or 40K. So it has to be the priority. I've got meals prepped so that I can just run out. I literally will be in a festival outfit. I'm like having my smoothie, and like that has to be the priority, but it's all about that planning. You're going into every day and you've got that list, you know exactly what you need to film. But yeah, like content is king. Nobody cares if your website's beautiful. If you spent 3 days on your website, but no one's going there, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Like for me, it's like your content is everything, especially if for me, I got to 100,000 followers for doing no paid ads, none. And people don't believe me. I'm dead serious, but I posted a video on, I have the receipts. Yeah, I posted a video on TikTok and Instagram every day for the last 2 years.
Wow, that's commitment.
Yeah.
But you've got something to show for it.
It's just planning. Yeah, but I'm not doing that all the time. I can be away and I'm like, okay, into my drafts, post.
What's your brainstorming process? Because you like save sounds and stuff. Do you just go like, I'm going to spend an hour just consuming to come up with ideas?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit crazy about this as well because I hate consuming social media. It feels like a waste of time. Yeah. So I do it like when I'm on the treadmill. So I feel like I'm getting 2 birds, 1 stone. Yeah. So I like to do it and I'm like, okay, this is an hour and you're going to save any sound that you think. Because I know my audience so well and I know what they think is going to be funny or whatever, if you hear a sound and you find a way to put that through your lens of what is going to be relatable to your audience, you like save it and I put in my notes that sound. And then, when I finish getting ready for the festival energy, like whatever I'm going to write on the video, and I just give myself maybe an hour every day just to do that.
Did that take you a while building that muscle, or did it come kind of naturally to you?
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like now it's any sound I hear, I can pretty much come up with an idea to swing that into a festival or rave relatable thing. And I literally never make videos where I'm like, this is the outfit that I sell. Never. Like people will literally comment on my video and they're like, oh my God, love the outfit. Where do you get it? That's perfect. They don't even know they've been sold to.
That's attention.
Do you know what I mean?
Content. Like at its finest.
It's so subtle, like, because people don't want to be sold to. Like they just finished a day at work. They don't want you to be like in their face being like, these are the 5 ways, like it's too much.
Yeah. So then I guess it's very strategic for you to have a launch every 6 weeks because that's where you go hard and the more sales content.
100%. So Maddie's kind of created this schedule for me where like that 2 weeks is like nothing else matters except for that content. And it's like I'm putting in a lot more hours. I'm waking up earlier to do the email so that I've got all day to do the content. And that's like hustle period for me. But then this next 4 weeks after that, I do everything that's behind the scenes or the website work. And then I'm just sitting there by myself. I don't have to be, la-di-da. And it's good. It's like, it means that I'm not constantly having to be on like that.
So you've scheduled
But
rest in. Rest,
yeah,
like you're still working. I say rest, like
yeah.
you're just not
Well,
on.
to me, that is resting. Me
Yeah.
sitting here like editing stuff on my phone, editing those videos. I don't have to be on.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So that I can't explain enough to people how much of a difference like prioritizing content is going to make.
Let's talk about the mentorship, because I want to like lead into the sales, because I think that's really juicy
yeah.
stuff in your whole sales strategy. But I guess going
Yeah.
back to the beginning, when did you know you needed some kind of support?
So yeah, probably the end of 2022, start of 2023, I was like, okay, I've created some really cool results on my own. I think I was at like 18,000 followers on Instagram, which was pretty good. And I was like, I feel like everything I do is like, I hope this is right. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't like making educated decisions and being like, oh my God, they're going to love this. I was like, I don't really know how to take this from where it is. I know it could be something huge, but I've reached the ceiling of knowing where to go, what to post, how to take it to the next level. And that's why I've followed Maddie basically since I started my business. Like I have got some of her very first TikToks like saved on my phone. So
you had that connection from the beginning, and you were like, she's a smart person. She's going to give me the tools.
She's just like, she doesn't beat around the bush. And I'm very much like, just give it to me straight. Yeah. Like what needs to be done. She was like, your website is terrible. Yeah. But yeah, like all the changes that we make, I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to start working with a marketing person. Next day I'm going to have sales like this. Or they're going to tell me this life-changing news. And then I'm going to be like, it's all going to make sense. The changes are so subtle and they make all the difference. Like when I try and explain it to people, they're like, yeah, but that's so small. I'm like, that's all that matters. It's so like, everything's so subtle, like the changes. And like,
it's the getting better by 1%. If you do that 365 days out of the year, you've just tripled your business.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So like, I think the main thing, I think you're probably going to ask me about like the strategy that we implemented. And the main thing was I was kind of doing like some funny, relatable stuff. And mostly I was like talking about my outfits a lot.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, we're not going to do that. And the first thing we kind of implemented was like the community. And so I, again, very subtle, started calling the girls like the TC girlies. So this became like a thing. I was like, okay, this girl, this is our TC girlie and she's wearing rave hair for the first time. And that kind of encouraged people to comment and like hype her up. You know what I mean? Like, so they feel like they're becoming a part of something. And then they would message me after they got the outfit and they're like, I'm officially a TC girlie. And then it started happening like they would be at festivals and be like, I spotted another TC girlie. I had to run up to her and get photos because we're both like the TC girlies. And then they were like handing out friendship bracelets that said True Colors and TC Girly. And I was like, what is happening? Like, this is crazy. I'm not even there.
Yeah.
Like,
this is what you want your brand. This is what you want your brand to be. You want it to speak for you in other rooms when you're not there.
Yeah. So it's like now they feel like they're part of this little club. And then I ended up creating this Facebook group for all the girls, like the TC Girlies group. And they just come in and post and they're like, hey, I got my outfit today, like blah, blah, how should I style it? And how are these braids? And they like, it's more about that now. And that's become this like community. And they'll say, hey, I'm going to Perth, listen out, who is there out of the TC girlies? And then they meet up and they send me photos and they're like, oh my God, I spotted these TC girlies. And it's just become this like crazy thing. And now when I go to festivals, it's not just like, hey, it's that girl that like runs that festival brand. People like freak out, like it's crazy, and they're like, oh, I don't even know what to say, like I freaking love you, I love everything. Like it's so weird. Like it's weird to me because I'm like, oh my God, I created this thing and it means so much to me now as well. Like that community that we have somehow very slowly implemented and created, it's now, even my partner says like it's more than a clothing brand now. Like you've almost created this like movement or community that's all about like, you know, uplifting each other and being like, just wear what you want. Like,
I love that. I got chills when you're talking about that. Can you like list a few of the things that you did to make that community, like kind of break it down for other business owners? Do you have a Facebook group for TC Girlies?
Yeah,
you
so
said for
it
festivals.
started off like very slow. So it would, yeah, like it would just be casually, I would refer to like the girls. I'd be like, okay, TC girlies. And then I would post like a picture of one of the girls and say, this is one of the TC girls and she's doing this. And they're like, oh my God, yes. And then I started to notice it was like taking off when I did make the Facebook group. And there was a couple of girls who obviously knew each other external and they were like, oh my God, are you a TC girly too? That's crazy. And I was like, gosh, this is working. But even things like I had a big sale, like a mid-year sale, and the password to get into the site was TC girlies only. So they're like coming in, they're like, yeah, it's just me, like just us girls are allowed in. Like that was kind of just very slowly done. Or I'd send out like an email and I was like, check out this TC girly, like at this festival, rocking her outfit, blah, blah, blah. So stuff like that. But it was so, it can't just be like a marketing thing that you're doing. Like it's so genuine from me. Like the TC girlies means so much to me. And now I feel like they're like my besties. Like when I do stuff, I'm like, oh, they're going to love this. I can't wait to show them. Or like I make a video, I'm like, they are going to laugh so hard at this. So it's actually a genuine thing. It can't just be like, oh, well, this is like how I'm going to suck them in. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because people will see right through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and they're like love being a part of it. So it was like, you slowly want to create something that people can be a part of. Like Taylor Swift is the first like music person to become a billionaire from her music. It's not just the music. Like she has all these little Easter eggs. So she invites you in to like dissect and there's like that, you know, that guy that's like got the whiteboard and he looks crazy and he's trying to like work out.
Yeah, the meme.
That's what the fans do. And they're like, oh my God, like this, she did this and it means this and it does this. Like, and that's how she's got them like so invested into the story that there's another layer. You know, you've got other artists that are just doing the music and she's got the music and the story. And you're so invested in the story that you're just like, oh my God, yes. Every time you listen to the song, you're like, is that about that thing? And you're trying to put it together. And it's the same with like, for me, I have actually gone past a lot of the festival brands that I was following when I was first like started. And it's because like they just post their gorge outfits. Love it. They're so pretty, but there's nothing deeper. There's nothing else there. Yeah, like it's like, yeah, oh my God, I love that outfit. I'm going to buy it. But that's it. You know what I mean? Like the girls say to me, they're like, I feel like I'm cheating on you if I buy something else now. And I'm like, that's silly. But
buy for me.
But it's creative. Yeah. They're like, I know, but I love the whole hype, and they love posting the Facebook group and being like, what are you girls getting in the drop today? Like blah, blah, blah. There's some sense of like belonging to something.
I love that so much. And I think that's so important that you've identified that with your specific audience and, you know, with the like festival rave community, because that is all about community and connection. And it could just be a like influencer fashion show, hot people. And that could be where you take the brand, but you took it in that I want to showcase my customers. Yeah.
And like, I'm not saying everyone should do this, but I don't use influencers, and I don't like when I invite people to do a TC Girls meetup and photo shoot, I get my customers to come. I get the TC girlies to come. And every time I say like, hey, I'm doing this, like which girls want to come? And every time it's different girls, but the other girls know who they are because they're part of the Facebook group. And it seems so much more, I don't know, genuine to me. But that's just what works for me. It doesn't have to be done that way.
Yeah,
there's a lot of like things that I've thought out, and there's layers to it, and it is just really subtle changes over time.
Can you tell us a bit about your launch cycle and how you plan that out and how you kind of created that, and I guess how you create sales for the business?
So a lot of the stuff about True Colors is about being a main character, so everything's just limited drop, and that's mostly because I have a very short attention span and I get sick of things. And I just love doing that whole like lead up to a drop and everybody's seeing the new outfits, and there's urgency because there's not that many of them. But we kind of landed on this like 6-week cycle just because like that's what I can manage with content and then the website stuff and all the behind the scenes. But last year, obviously, after I started working with Maddie, there was like a few months growing phase and getting into like I said, this stuff does not happen overnight. Like those little changes, you'll have a period where you're like, oh my God, is this even working? Is this making any difference? And then it'll just click one day. And I had this collection like sell out in like 2 minutes. And I was like, oh my God. And then from then I was like constantly trying to keep up, and I'm like trying to do another drop and stuff like that. But now I've landed, like, I feel like I've got this 6-week cycle that works for me, and it keeps people interested. There's something new happening all the time, but it's enough that I can do 2 weeks of content and I can do 4 weeks of behind the scenes, and that's just what's manageable for me, and it keeps the girls super interested.
Yeah, we talk a lot about in sales psychology, urgency and scarcity marketing. And that doesn't mean you just have to discount, and that doesn't mean you have to like play into people's fears, but it does mean you have to think of your business and how you can show that there's only a limited amount of things that you're selling, whether that's working with you as a service provider or products. And I know like on your website, you talk a lot about like sustainability and ethical selling as well. And that plays into your values, and people would connect with that because you're not a fast fashion brand. You're not creating thousands of pieces that half of them go into the landfill.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, no. So I use like an ethical fabric printer. So they only print exactly what I need, and they don't use any harmful dyes or anything like that. And then I use an ethical manufacturer. I used to sew everything myself, and I ended up sewing like 12 hours a day just trying to keep up. And then, of course, I could never do like the level of content I'm doing now if I was doing that. So it's all just been like a very quick, I feel like I'm constantly adapting and trying to, catch up with it.
Do you see yourself growing your team soon or bringing more people into the business to get more support?
I think so. Yeah, I think I would love to have like a proper warehouse space and a photo shoot space, because like, again, I've just like, I came from having no money. So I never just like was like, oh, I'm just going to get a big photo shoot space. Like, I'm like, whose house is nice where I can take photos? You know what I mean? Like, I've just always found a way to do it like that. So
you just found a way to do it like cheaply.
Yeah, my partner's mum like sends out all my orders now, and she's got like a massive garage where she keeps everything. So I'm sure she would love it if I eventually got a warehouse. So she doesn't have all my stock at her house. But I would love to have like a small team. I think the number one thing in the last year that's made a difference for me, because I think you start out being like, oh, I want to get 100K month, 200K month. Whereas now it's a little bit more like, I love this community so much that I want to grow it, and I want to create outfits. Like, I want to do kids stuff, I want to do casual stuff, I want to do swim stuff. And because the message behind my brand is about like just being you, unapologetically you, wearing what you want, not following the trends, that can go across any type of, like, I haven't pigeoned myself into festival wear, because it's more about the message behind the brand than it is specifically about that clothing. So
yeah, I love that. So you're thinking of growing your collections and offerings?
Yeah, definitely. But there's only one of me right now, and I can only spread myself so thin. So it's a bit of a process. But yeah, I think this year will be the year that I expand that team just a tiny little bit.
You heard it here first. So tell us a bit about your big vision goals for True Colors. Do you kind of take it like quarter to quarter, or do you have some big vision goals for like the next 5-10 years?
I think Maddie's asked me this a few times. She's like, where do you actually want to go? I'm like, I don't know. I just really enjoy the process. And I feel like I've created all of these friends, which sounds crazy, but like whenever I go to a festival and I'm meeting everyone, they're like, oh my God, it's you. And we chat all the time. Like, I love that little community. Like, I'd love to have some of the girls who are experienced in like admin and stuff come and just like kind of build out this community a little bit more. And yeah, like I said, like do have a whole range of offerings and stuff like that. So I think it's just such a cool thing to be a part of. That's what I want to grow it into.
You wake up every day and you're just excited to work.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think I've ever had that, like when people get Sunday scaries. Like, I work 24/7, it feels like, but it's not the same as like counting the minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like I'm doing something for me.
Have you ever had, I know you've had setbacks with like the SD card and stuff. Do you ever come across like difficult customers or difficult suppliers? Do you run into some headaches like that sometimes? And do you ever have those moments where you're like, is this worth it?
Not with customers. I think like, because people fall into the trap of trying to seem like a bigger business than they are, like where they say like, oh, we I'm like, girl, it's just me. Don't be mean to me. You know what I mean? Like, I think because they know how much the business means to me, they're careful about how, like, if something's wrong, they're like, we can work this out. You know what I mean? Like, and it's instead of coming across as a bigger brand and people are just like a little bit ruder to you, I really don't have that issue. It's very, very rare. And I always seem to like work it out with them very easily. But yeah, like lots of learning things. Like obviously I've never run a business before. So like import fees and fees into like where I manufacture and stuff, like things getting stuck in customs and that's like usually the biggest headache. It's like actual logistical things.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And
we
like,
didn't talk about that you have a big audience over in the US as well. So you're based in Australia, sunny coast.
Mm-hmm.
What did that transition look like?
So probably about this time last year, I was like, I've been working with Maddie for a couple of months and I was like, oh my God, girl, I'm like not even getting a few sales a week. I'm stressing because the festival season comes to an end here in Australia in around like February, March, if you're lucky. It'll stretch that far. And then it goes into the US season. And of course, we don't pick up again until September. And I had very little US customers because obviously like your TikTok reach and stuff. And because I was like pumping it on TikTok back then, I had mostly Australian customers. And I said to her, we need to do something about this. Like we need to get me over there so that then it just ticks over and I've got like all these US sales. And we did quite a few things to kind of reach that audience. And this year, it's crazy to see that this month has been like one of my most successful and it's pretty much all US sales in Germany and the UK. Like it's crazy. So it's nice to see that those strategies you've implemented over the last few months have actually worked. And that's like in the last 3 months, we've done paid ads on Pinterest only to the US.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and that was like when I first started doing paid ads, even I was like, this ain't working, girl. But it's just, you have to wait. Like it's not, you never get overnight results with anything. You just have to.
Do you still
going.
ship from Australia? And are your customers happy to wait for those shipping times?
Yeah, it's usually, I think to the US, it's only about 2 weeks usually. So,
yeah. So they just need to plan ahead for a festival.
Yeah, so like obviously the big one that's on at the moment is EDC. Like most of my customers are like me. So like the outfit is like the thing they're the most excited for. So like they'll have it months in advance. So yeah, they're like, who's playing? I don't know, but I know what I'm wearing.
That's awesome. So so you put a strategy in place to cover the slower months.
Yeah. And that's a big relief because obviously, you know, our summer here, we're like, hell yeah. But if I like have no sales for 3 or 4 months, I'm going to be in trouble. So I was like, I can't survive on that. And so, and, you know, we talked about doing casual stuff and swimwear so that it's like, you know, you've got other stuff going on.
Yeah, I love that. So I guess what would be my final question? What's some of your just gold nugget advice for our listeners, for other business owners or content creators who want to achieve what you've achieved?
My advice would be to have a message. If you don't know like what your message is or your story, even if it's just about you as the personal brand, if you're a small business owner and it's just you, like that is your superpower. People want to get to know you, and it's so hard to get on camera and start talking. That was the number one thing that Maddie made me do when I first started, because when I first started with her, I was very rarely doing talking videos, but like that's what's going to separate. If you look at 99% of clothing brands, they're like, their Instagram is like really hot people wearing their clothes on a rack. And you're like, cool, nice clothes, but that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's nothing else
that's
going to make
yourself as
me...
a customer in that.
No. And like people know everything about me now. You know what I mean? Like they come up to me and they like know my whole life story and everything that's ever happened within the business. And I would say like look at other brands and look at what they're doing and how you're going to set yourself, because there's always going to be other people that do what you do. And content is king. Yeah. Like I don't know how many times I have to say this to people, but that is what has changed my entire life. It is posting, and like I don't just post like this is my outfit I sell. I'm like, what are they going to want to consume all the time? So like people always want to consume my content because it's like, you know, it might be something funny. Like I did this really dumb video that was like, you're drunk alter ego comes into the room. And it was just me being really silly in one of the outfits. And it got like millions of views. And then people are like, oh, my drunk alter ego's name is this. But it's like, I don't set out to be like, I'm selling these outfits in every post. So, and I would say, don't blame the platform. Like at the moment, my TikToks aren't performing, and it's the same content that, you know, recently was going viral. And I didn't say, oh, TikTok hates me, like the algorithm hates me. I messaged Maddie and I was like, it's time to do something drastic. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to have to switch it up. I'm going to have to reinvent myself in some way to, you know, get it working again. Because like you're just one little person. TikTok doesn't hate you. You just have to figure out what's going to work. And if you're only getting 200 views on your videos, you've got nothing to lose. Like that is not working. Stop doing it.
So did she help you? Do you guys have a new strategy that you're rolling out there?
I think that'll be in our next meeting. We'll be talking about that a little bit. So at the moment, I've just been like doing the behind the scenes stuff, and then now it'll be like, all right, it's time to get back into that content. And I'm like, hey, what I'm doing right now, like, why would I keep putting my time and energy into this if it's not working? It's not, you know. And I can post the same thing on Instagram. It's like 100,000 views. Mm-hmm. So, but that works for that platform. It doesn't work for the other platform. So, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the last year and a half, I've been posting completely different videos to both of those platforms every single day because they're not the same. I always try and find a way to reuse the same stuff I've always done and like make it suit each platform. But
you kind of like re-edit it to suit the platforms.
Yeah, to suit the platform. So yeah, I would say just like if you're not getting results, just try something new. Worst thing that can happen is it doesn't get views, and it's like, what have you really lost? You've tried something else.
And that really, I think, comes back to your mindset and being flexible and going like, okay, this is just another learning opportunity, not the universe is out to get me. I can't do anything right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because then you can't like think
get out of the
box.
Victim mindset.
Yeah, exactly.
There's plenty of money to go around. Everybody wants to spend their money. Like it's get out of that victim mindset. Like anytime I find myself in that, I'm like, get out of that. There's always something that you can do or change or try.
Do you like go on a walk or go for a swim or something to get out of that mindset?
Yeah, definitely. And like if you're feeling terrible and you're feeling super awkward, just don't film on that day. Like when you feel you're like, oh, I've got all these ideas, get in there and get in front of the camera.
So make it look like it's daylight, even if it's in the middle of the night. Do your makeup and get in there.
Yeah, just when it's all in there, that's when it's time to strike.
That's a really good tip. I think so many of us want to like wait and then have everything perfect and then like have our hair perfect and perfect lighting. But it's like, okay, you probably need to strike when the energy's there and the good stuff's going to come out of that.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing I've learned is like imperfect action. Like stop waiting for stuff to be perfect. It never will be. Like my website still could use work. Like I still have videos where I'm like, oh, you know, that could have been slightly like more this way. But if I just go, I'm never posting any of those. I'm never moving ahead. Mm-hmm. I'm like, let's just do it. Let's go. Just if you've never spoken on camera, I can guarantee you it's going to be really awkward. Like one of the things that I had to start doing was like I would film a video of myself talking every single day and I would never post it. Like I would just be like, oh, I just went to the shops and I got these like hot cross buns, and I'd tell some stupid story just to my phone just so that I could get a bit more comfortable talking. So it wasn't like so awkward. And even my sister just said like, I've been doing this 2 years. She's like, your voiceovers now actually sound like you. Like you don't do that influencer talk anymore. Like, cause
not like the news anchor voice or something.
I'm like, hey guys, so blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you don't do that anymore. You just talk like you. And I was like, see, that's taken me 2 years.
Yeah, that's such a good
But
point.
the more often that you do it, the quicker that will happen. So if you're only doing it once a week where you're like, I'm only filming one video a week, it's going to take you so much longer. If you just sit that phone down, I said this to my partner because he's trying to start his own thing and he has to do social media. I'm like, just film a video and never post it. And it will take that pressure off you as well because you know you're not going to post it and you will be more comfortable like just talking. So
and then eventually you do have to start posting it though.
Yeah.
Or else you're not going to have an audience or a business.
Yeah.
I guess when did you decide that it was time to start posting them?
I think like when I first started learning how to sew, I was like, I'm just going to post like these like little videos, like, but when I went from posting like cute little music videos and like, you know, sewing behind the scenes to like me talking, that was the most confronting thing to have to do. But I don't know, I was like, I want to do this. So like, if you really want it, you'll push through.
Yeah. And you were like, this is going to take me to the next level, so I have to do it.
Yeah. And every time Maddie asks me to do something, there's always that little bit of like, oh, I really don't want to do that. And then I'm like, okay. And she's like, promise me you're going to do it. I'm like, okay.
And usually if you have like some resistance and it's like still within your values and like you can see that aligns with your goals, it's like, that's where you need to go.
100%. If it feels uncomfortable for you, but it still feels like it's like it aligns with you. Because like for me, you know, anything negative like doesn't really, like, I'm careful when I say controversial things. It's only if it's like really controversial, but it just aligns with me. Like I would never do stuff where it's like tearing down what other people choose to wear, because that's not what we're about. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you just have to be like, okay, I can be like, when she was like, oh, we're going to do controversial, I was like, how am I going to do that? Because I'm a very like, you know, we uplift this, but controversial for me is saying there are no rules. You can just wear whatever you want, wherever you want. And guess what? People will get angry when you say that. Yeah. And you're like, I can go to the shops just like fully dressed up to do my grocery shop. And they're like, that's ridiculous. No, you can't. There are rules. I'm like, where? Show me.
Yeah.
But that aligns with me. That's not me ripping on anyone else. But it's still controversial because people will disagree with you.
Yeah, it's looking at the industry or like, looking at what the status quo in society is and going like, I don't agree with that. It's not calling one person out.
Yeah.
I love that. That's
definitely
a really good tip for your controversial top of funnel content, everybody.
Because I think a lot of people think you have to like rip on something else, where you just have to get a little bit more creative. Yeah, because I don't like to be mean, or I feel like there's so much negativity out there already. I don't want to add to it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, guess what? You can actually just wear whatever you want to the shops, and I'm going to show you. Let's go grocery shopping. You know what I mean? Like,
I love that.
Like
Dallas, I have like a million more questions I'd love to ask you, but we're coming to the end. I could talk to you about your content creation process, business mindset all day. You've given us so many amazing gold nuggets. So thanks so much for your time and for sharing all of your wisdom with us. Where can everyone find True Colors online?
I think Instagram is True Colors with 3 S's and a Z.
Nice. Okay.
And then on TikTok, I'm Dallas from True Colors.
Okay. Perfect. And then truecolors.com for your website?
Yeah, it's True Colors with 2 S's. It'll be linked in both of those social media things. See, I always go to social media first because that's what creates all of my sales for me.
That's perfect. And we'll make sure we include all of those in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time, Dallas. This was so much fun.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Not So Kind Regards podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, we would really appreciate if you left a review on whatever streaming platform you are using. It helps us to grow as a brand new podcast and to help many more business owners and content creators reach their goals, just like we hope this brought you one step closer to yours. Remember, connect with us on TikTok at Maddie Birdcage and at Birdcage Marketing, and the same handles on Instagram again. And if you really want to learn how to work with us, make sure you head to our website and book a call. We would love to speak with you.